So what I'm going to talk about is how you leverage your uniqueness. First of all, do all of us recognize that we are unique? Yes, you are. The question that I'm going to ask you is, what are you doing about it? Yes, you are unique. And my talk is on not only leveraging your uniqueness. Before you do that, you need to know your uniqueness and therefore discover and leverage your uniqueness. I want to take off with this quotation from the book, Funky Business. And this is the beautiful quotation that is there. The surplus society has a surplus of similar companies employing similar people with similar educational backgrounds, working in similar jobs, coming up with similar ideas, producing similar things in similar prices and similar quality. Isn't this the world that we live in? Everything is an equalizer. The one and only differentiator is you. Are you clear that you are the differentiator in this world? I want to start off by telling a story. If you can get the slides onto this screen here. And this story is about the Iranian twins. I do not know how many of you know, in the year 2003, these twins, at the age 29, they wanted to be separated. They were co-joined in the head, and they wanted to go in for a surgery. The reason why they wanted to go in for a surgery was, even though they were identical twins, co-joined in the head, their differences were very stark. Lade and Lale Bijani, they both had different career ambitions. Lade wanted to be a lawyer, Lale wanted to become a journalist. Lale liked to play, among other things, while Lade wanted to become a computer programmer. Lade described her sister as an introverted, while she herself was very talkative. Even identical twins are different. And therefore, when they went in for the near fatal surgery, everybody counseled them against it. The doctors, the family members, but they were convinced that they wanted to separate because of this one conviction, that they wanted to have an individual identity. Unfortunately, the story does not end well. The surgery was not successful. Most of us know if you read the news at that point in time. But the statement that I want to give you, when I heard that statement, I actually was in Singapore, my hair stood on its end. And the statement that they made as they signed the indemnity bond is this: we would rather die as individuals than live without an identity. How many of us are so convicted that we want to live our identity, that we discover our identity? So I'll walk you through this process, how you go about leveraging your identity. For that, you need to first know who you are. Who are you? What is your identity? So if I were to ask you a question, who are you? What is the answer that you'll get? I'm not going to embarrass many of you. I've asked these questions in student situations, and they say their name. And I say, no, I don't want your name. And then I go ahead and ask them, who are you? And they say, they give their academic status. I'm a student of so-and-so. I say, no, I don't want your student status or your academic status. And then they say, I'm an Indian. No, I don't want your geographic status. You can go on. But I want to just remind you of one thing, and that is our identity is not linked to our geographic status. Our identity is not linked to our biological status. The best way to understand that is for us to know what we will be remembered long after we are gone. I'll ask you this question. When I mention the word Mahatma Gandhi, what comes to your mind? Freedom fighter, non-violence, ahimsa, self-sacrifice, and so on. But did he actually say that he is that during his lifetime? No. Long after he is gone, we are remembered for that. And as we look at it, we need to recognize sometimes we think we confuse our identity with the way we look. In fact, we did not get into the full biodata, but many times they give my full biodata, and then I also introduce myself, and then I say I'm Anand Pillai, born and brought up in Bangalore, lived in Delhi for 27 years, and by virtue of my job, I traveled many countries. You know what happens? Many people, they say, yeah, but you look like a Sri Lankan. I said, man, what's wrong with you here? I mean, that hurts my identity. In fact, let me tell you, I also discovered my Sri Lankan origins about 10 years ago. How it happened was, the Indian cricket, I was in this flight from Delhi to Bangalore. The Indian cricket team and the Sri Lankan cricket team was also in that flight. And the person who was sitting next to me, he was mighty thrilled that he was sitting next to me. I was wondering what's wrong with this guy. I mean, he was wanting to talk to me. He's making gestures. He's almost kind of touching me as he's sitting next to me. And I'm wondering, maybe this is an identity crisis. In fact, every once in a while, he is looking behind to notice if the other people are noticing the fact that he is sitting next to me. So I said, definitely this is an identity crisis. He must be mistaking me for somebody. In fact, his gestures were so often, he was wanting to communicate with me so often. If you want to understand how often this was, well, it's actually once in every 9,882 nanoseconds. In fact, this happened so frequently that I began to question my marital status. Also, you'll have to understand that this was before Section 370 was officially formalized. And it was really embarrassing. Anyway, the flight landed in Bangalore, and as I was going up to the terminal to get my luggage, this person came very close to me, and then he pulled out his boarding pass, gave it to me, and he said, "Sir, autograph." I said, "Not bad. Finally, I've arrived in life." I took out my pen, and I signed on the boarding pass, Anand Pillai, from one diagonal to the other. He looked at the signature, he looked at my face, and he said, "I'm sorry." So I said, "What are you sorry for?" He did not answer. He looked behind, and when I looked behind along with him, lo and behold, my brother was coming from the Sri Lankan cricket team. Any of you know my brother? Well, yes. Let me cut the story short. It's a long story. We got separated at birth. My brother was adopted by the Jaisurya family, and I was adopted by the Pillai family. And the rest is history. In fact, I barged in with this discovery I used to work for HCL Technologies then, into my office, and I called all of them, and I said, "Guys, I want to declare something." So they all came together, and then I said, "I just discovered that Sanat Jaisurya looks like me." In fact, some of them, one friend, he actually came to me and he said, "Anand, it is wrong for you to compare yourself with Sanat Jaisurya." You know, sometimes our friends say certain things which leaves you with this feeling, why do I need enemies when I've got friends like these? He said, "It's wrong for you to compare yourself with Sanat Jaisurya because he has got a better face value." I took that statement in its stride. I said, "What you're saying is right. Fact is, he's got a bigger face value. Because every day in the morning, when he washes his face, he has to go all the way there. But I live there. Don't worry. One day I will get there." In fact, while all this was going on, another friend of mine, he came and he said, "Anand, you think you look like Sanat Jaisurya, but in reality, there are at least 7 people in the world who look like you." Have you come across that statement? I said, "Man, why do you want to kill my newfound joy? As far as I'm concerned, there is one and only one Anand Pillai in the world. There never was one before, there never will be one after." And the few friends there, they got together and they said, "Anand, you're getting arrogant." I said, "No, I'm getting confident. And the reason for my confidence is this: God does not repeat mistakes." Having said that, I just want to bring this truth to you. God has made each one of us as a first-class original. Don't die a second-rate copy. Are you so convicted about you? Because each one of us are a designer product. You may have an identical twin, but you are different in your thought process, you're different in your identity. Sometimes we think our identity is fused with our achievements. You become a great person, you think you are that person. The school in which I graduated, I was adjudged the best all-round student. I felt really great. Because many people, after the few days that I stayed on in the school, after this declaration, they were all thinking or recognizing me as a hero. And school going was a great time. 5 years after that, I finished and I had to go back to the school for some signature on some letter. And as I thought of going back to the school in which I was judged the best all-round student, clouds started going on in my head. You understand clouds? All the projections. And I thought people are going to come in front and ask for autograph or photograph. All those hopes came to a grinding halt when at the gate itself the watchman asked me, "Who are you?" I said, "Man, what's wrong with you? You don't recognize who I am." He said, "No, you don't know." "Oh, man, I was a gold medalist." "No, we don't recognize." And he asked me, "Whom do you want to see?" I said, "I want to see the principal." He said, "No, you can't see the principal. Do you have an appointment?" I said, "I need an appointment." Everybody needs an appointment. So he said, you can't go to the principal, you'll have to go to the PA room. Instead of going to the PA room, I went to the staff room. I thought somebody there will recognize me. So as the chemistry teacher and the English teacher were coming, I displayed myself and I asked the chemistry teacher with a golden hope. I said, ma'am, do you remember me? With a broad smile, she said, Anand, how can we forget you? Hopes returned until she completed the sentence. Anand, how can we forget you? You're the one who locked us in the room. And that's when I realized the moment of truth dawned on me. We are remembered not for our achievements, but for how we have impacted and touched people's lives. That's the moment of truth that we will have to recognize and understand. That is our identity. So I'm going to ask you to believe in yourself. I know that many of us are not going to accept the way we are. Some of us, we think we are too tall. Some of us think we are too short. Some of us think we are too dark or too light. In fact, in one of these introductions, I was speaking in an American conference, and the person, he mixed up my profiles. He was introducing, the person was hired for the day, he was introducing various other people, and of course Americans are not very easy with Indian names, so he mixed up my profile, and so to cut the time, he said, ladies and gentlemen, for the next session, I've got my colored friend from India taking on the session. The audience went, ooh. So I went on, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank my colorless friend for the introduction, and let's go on. You have to believe in yourself. Because if you don't, nobody else will. And that is very important. I'll tell you, on my birthday, I am so happy, I am so delighted. I call my mother and I say, congratulations. Good job, Mom. This is fantastic. This is great. That is what you need to get. Do you believe in yourself? Do you accept yourself the way you are made? Because that is what is going to take you to establish your identity. That is what will enable you to build your personal brand. Because you need to accept the way you are. What is your personal brand? It is basically a combination of your strengths, your passions, your gifts, your purpose that you bring. And I want to let you go on into a journey of discovering yourself. So the three-step process of you leveraging your uniqueness is, first, you believe in yourself. Second, you discover yourself. If you read the Gallup's book, Gallup gives us 5 simple tests of how we can leverage ourselves, of discovering ourselves. The first one is, do you get into this yearning? What is that yearning? In the middle of your dream, in the middle of your sleep, what are you yearning for? There is that unspoken desire that is coming from you. That is an indication of who you truly are. First indication. The second indication is your rapid learning. You're getting on, students or anything that you're involved in a day-to-day activity. In some things you don't learn at all, even if the best teacher comes and teaches you. But in certain other things, you seem to learn rapidly. It's just that rapid learning comes because you are hardwired for that. That is an indication of your true self. The third indication of your true self is flow. As you're doing your work activities, as you're doing whatever you're doing, it could be your stated agenda, it could be the unstated agenda. The steps come to you automatically as if it was programmed in your mind. You're not necessarily qualified for it. That is the third step. The fourth step is glimpses of excellence. As you are doing it, you suddenly get, wow, man, did I do that? Whew, this is fantastic. Glimpses of excellence comes. And that is another indication of who you are. The fifth one is the signs of satisfaction. Where you do that, you may be tired, you may be really knocked out, but you get involved in that activity, and then you suddenly get a sense of satisfaction. In fact, it gives you that energy. It gives you that feeling. In fact, it goes on to validate this Chinese proverb which says, find a job that you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. That is what is there, the sense of satisfaction. Now that you've got to discover yourself, you should not stay that way. You have to get into the next step, which is reinvent yourself. Because as time passes by, you need to progress. And I'll illustrate this particular point by giving you this picture story. You know these two heroes? Amitabh Bachan and Shashi Kapoor. The movie, Diwar. And you know the conversation here? One is very successful, Amitabh Bachchan. And then the conversation says, I've got this, I've got that. All of us know the dialogue. What is the dialogue that Shashi Kapoor gives? Mere paas maa hai. Wow. That was about 30 years ago or more. Now you want to see how both of them are? I proved my point. Unless you reinvent yourself, you are going to go back into oblivion. You'll have to move with the changing times. And how do you reinvent yourself? You reinvent yourself by working not on your comfort zone, but on your courage zone. Move out of your comfort zone. Every once in 18 to 36 months, you'll have to reinvent yourself. And the pattern that you'll have to have is your day-to-day responsibilities must be in the 60-40 ratio. 60% of what you are doing should be in the comfort zone, and 40% of what you are doing should be in the courage zone. Move out, try things that you have not tried before, because that's the only way you will reinvent yourself. Once you reinvent yourself, you then will be able to get to that identity, get to rediscover yourself. And that's when you get to brand yourself. In branding yourself, let me give you a formula. This is actually talked about in the Blue Ocean strategy. I'm applying the Blue Ocean strategy to yourself. And that is branding yourself. Look at it on the x-axis. X-axis is value from low to high. On the y-axis is your effort from low to high. Begin first with that which is on the left-hand top column. There are a lot of things that are there which are low in value but are very high in cost or effort. What should you do? You should eliminate them. The best way of figuring out what this is whether you do it or don't, nobody notices it, both in the family as well as in the workplace. Eliminate that. And having eliminated that, then go on to those things which are low in value and relatively low in cost or effort. Reduce that. Having done that, you then move on, because you now create the bandwidth. You have created time, you have created energy, you have created effort. You then go on to that which is high in value but also high in effort. That is where you move to raise the bar well above the others, and that is where you get to build your differentiator. Once you have done that, you will be able to do things that are coming out which is low in cost or effort, but then you will be able to create a unique identity for yourself. And that is what is the eliminate, reduce, raise, and create. And that, when you want to reinvent yourself, there are 5 areas in which you have to reinvent yourself. And that's why I've given you this acronym SPICE. Reinvent yourself in your value system, in your spiritual, in your physical. Make sure that you're physically reinventing yourself. The picture that we saw, they were not. Reinvent yourself intellectually, and through the community, and finally, emotionally. And with all this, I come to the closing statement. Be yourself, because everybody else is taken. Thank you.